Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Applied Digital Skills teacher panel. Please say hello in the chat so we know you're here. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from, and just for fun, your favorite color, why not? We are here tonight with a great panel of teachers. I'm really excited to get started and let them share about their experience using applied digital skills. I do want to just give you a little bit of context. So if you're joining us from the YouTube link and you're not aware, this week is Applied Digital Skills Week, and that's why we're doing this YouTube. The link that you see there, the bit.ly/APSKI week, will take you to all of the fun things that we've been doing, and we've had daily challenges, and everything is archived at that link, so you can go anytime and look at these webinars and do the challenges. So jot down that link. And we are here to talk about applied digital skills, which is a free digital literacy curriculum from Google. And it's out there free for us to use. It was created for middle school on up through adults. That said, we've heard from several elementary school teachers this week sharing how they're using it. So definitely check the Twitter feed, the Grow with Google hashtag and EdTechTeam hashtag. For lots of elementary school ideas. The link that you read there will take you to the curriculum, or you can just Google Applied Digital Skills and you will get there. And it is part of the Grow with Google initiative, where Google is doing a lot of different things to build digital skills in citizens around the country. So take a look at that. Please say hello in the chat if you haven't already in order to enter our drawing. So at the end of our webinar today at 6:30 Central Time, or whatever time it is for you, we are going to do a drawing for a free EdTechTeam Summit ticket. So definitely say hello because I'll be drawing names from the chat. So with that, I would love to introduce to you three teachers, three educators that are with us tonight. I have their Twitter handles up here. I will put them up again at the end of today, end of our webinar, so that you can jot those down again if you're not getting a chance to do it now. But I'm going to throw it to Monica to introduce herself. Uh-oh, Monica, I'm going to unmute you.
Thank you.
There you go. Now you're good.
I'm Monica, and I teach 7th grade English language arts in South Carolina.
Go ahead, Amanda.
I am Amanda Alford, and I teach 7th grade science at Switzerland County School Corporation in Beebe, Indiana.
And hi, I'm Eric Simmons. I'm the Director of Technology for Princeton Public Schools in Minnesota.
Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. Welcome, South Carolina, Indiana, and Minnesota, and everybody else who's in the chat. I'm going to just go ahead and kick it off with our first question. But that said, those of you that are in the chat, if you have any questions for our panelists as we go along tonight, please write them in. I'm going to be following the chat as our panelists are sharing, and I want to pull in your questions as I catch them. So please ask any questions in there. And also, if you have any ideas, if you're using applied digital skills with your students and you've got ideas to share in the next half an hour, please put those in the chat as well so that we can all share with each other. So here we go. Panelists, are you ready?
Ready.
Woohoo! Why did you initially decide to use applied digital skills with your students?
Our school decided to start using applied digital skills because my principal last summer noticed that our incoming 7th graders were just needing some more exposure and experience using Google in general, Google Classroom, Google Drive, all the Google apps. And so he called me over the summer and said, hey, you're Google certified. I think it'd be really awesome. We have an opening if you could teach a class of just Google, help our students get more comfortable and build their confidence. And as I joke with everybody, as soon as I found that out, and he goes, oh, and you can, kind of create your own curriculum as you go. I have confidence in you. I did what any teacher would do, and I Googled it. Like, how am I going to teach a Google curriculum? And between myself and our e-coach, Corey, Googling, we found applied digital skills. And I'm like, this is perfect. It uses, depending on what unit you use, but it goes through all the different Google apps and Google Suites. And it was really exactly what I was needing to help build not only exposure and experience, but just self-confidence in my students.
I will chime in as well to talk a little bit about why we decided to start using the applied digital skills. And similar to what Amanda mentioned, just kind of stumbling upon that curriculum, we were looking for some more up-to-date lessons to use in like our computer apps courses at the middle school level, and finding the content, and it was directly aligned to leveraging the Google tools that we had. It worked on the Chromebooks that our students were using. It seemed like a really good fit for some of the technology skills we were trying to teach within those classes. And I was also really impressed at the how creative some of them are. I mean, a lot of the free content out there is sometimes it's not all that impressive, but the creativity behind some of the projects were, I guess, what really sold the idea for us.
Awesome. We have a question from the chat. Someone would like to know, what's the easiest way to be able to see the class progress? Does somebody want to chat about that? And I have it actually on my screen to show what it looks like, but do you want to chat about your experience with that? So any of you, whoever wants to chime in.
I'll take that one. In the curriculum, there's a student data page where you can see exactly where the kids are. You can see what videos they have watched and where they currently are. So if they've been sitting there and you see like that little location or that map bubble, if they're sitting there and they've been there for a while, it's a great time to have a conversation like, hey, what's going on? Are you stuck? Is the technology getting you? But it's very easy to see. And as you see on the screen, the red just means that they haven't signed in today, but the red goes away when they sign in. So you know who was there that day. It's very intuitive.
And you also see, just as we're speaking about progress, if you go over here to data, the data tab, there is a reflection activity at the end of every activity, and asks students a few questions and to talk about what they just did. And so you can get all of that information is here. And if you were here on Monday, we did show some of this, but just in case you missed it, just to show that this is all in here. In order to see this, though, you do have to enroll your students in a class. So I want to be clear about that, because you can use the curriculum without creating a class and having kids come in. But if you want to see this information, they do need to be enrolled in a class. Awesome. So how easy was it for you all to get started using the curriculum?
So I will jump in and kick that question off. I'm just going to do a quick screen share here. So I know Heather mentioned earlier this week, she went a little bit more depth into the curriculum itself on a previous Hangout, if you want to check that out. But to talk about how easy it is to get started, I want to highlight a tool that might be right in front of you that I think is often overlooked, and that's this filter by. And so this is a state standard filter that allows you to filter down by state. So I'm just going to jump in here to middle and high school. And you'll notice that not all states are listed right now. For example, I'll jump into Minnesota just to be selfish here. And so the standards are aligned to grades 7 through 12. And in Minnesota, at least, it was best aligned to science and ELA standards. So you'll see as I dial this standard down, it limits my list of lessons here. But if you don't see your state there, I would say that's a really, really good place to get started. If you don't see your state there, South Carolina, I'm sure there are other states, but South Carolina has some pretty awesome, I'm going to pick any grade level. They have some really awesome technology standards that are aligned straight to like G Suite specific tools. So like if I'm just looking for lessons that focus in on Google Maps, I would just recommend checking out South Carolina's alignment if your state isn't listed in there. But I think that's a really, really good place to get started, and could really help, if you're a science teacher, ELA teacher, social studies, looking for like, how could these lessons be used in my classroom. I think that's a really good place to start.
And I'm going to jump in and piggyback off what Eric was saying. because the question was, how easy was it for a teacher to start? And what Eric was showing there with the state standards, when you choose a unit, the lesson plans and the rubrics are right there to help you just follow along to get you started. And I know, Heather, you discussed that on Monday's webinar, but for any teacher who's sitting there going, I don't know how to start, where do I start, how do I introduce this? The curriculum has detailed lesson plans, rubrics, everything right there for you to just follow along and get started. And the day that we did it, we logged in and we started right away. Like, there wasn't any slow introduction. I just went right off the page that you're seeing right there, and we just dug in. And it was so awesome, because just like any other teacher, as you get the flow and you get your confidence going and you learn a little bit more about the curriculum, you can modify it the way you need it. But for those of you who are a little, uncertain, or a little not used to using Google and things like that, you easily have your guide right there for you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, the rubric is great. I've talked to teachers who are using it to do peer assessment and self-assessment. Monica, I see you nodding. Have you done that with your students?
Yes, that rubric is phenomenal. I think my favorite part of the rubric is having the exemplars on that left-hand side, where you can see what minimal work looks like, and then what their work should look like. So showing them the difference between the two. This is what I expect, and please make sure it doesn't look like this. That's awesome to have with your students. Just to have those exemplars handy has been fantastic on those rubrics.
Yeah, awesome. The exemplary examples are amazing, and there's at least one, I believe, in every single unit. So they're all linked within the rubrics and also in the lesson plans, wherever I put that. Thanks. Renee has a question about where to get help besides the manual, besides the Applied Digital Skills website. I'll just quickly answer that one, Renee. There's the Applied Digital Skills email is on their website, and you can email them, and I believe they will respond. A faster place perhaps to get help would be on Twitter. There's lots of us right now using the Grow with Google hashtag this week, and I imagine that will continue, and that will probably be your best place to get some help. All right. How about, I'd like to hear from all of you panelists about the units, and which unit did you use first and why, and any favorite activities, and any ideas about using various units with the different subject areas?
I'll start that one. We started with If Then Adventure Stories, since we were in a narrative unit, and it just paired perfectly. The kids got to create interactive stories that are very similar to the Choose Your Own Adventure books from back in the 90s. So they were really excited. This is how we jumped into the Applied Digital Skills curriculum. And the kids learned how to hyperlink, how to effectively use Google Sheets. So taking it a step above what they've already been doing in different presentation programs. And then from there, we moved into Research and Develop a Topic, which is a little bit more challenging, but they loved it. I think that was a crowd favorite for my class, because they got to learn about fake news. They created their own fake news article. But then in the videos, it taught the kids how to read closely these articles so that they're not being duped. They learned how to analyze sources, how to do effective internet searches. They did HTML coding, which was absolutely fantastic. The kids coded a pop-up window to come up on a Google Doc. And the cool thing about that lesson for me, in the lesson plans, there was a red alert at the top that told you, okay, when they go to do the automatic pop-up, it won't come up, but the manual one will. So we did our coding. And when we get to that point, I tell them, that one's not going to come up. So just skip that part and go ahead to your reflection. And then I had an awesome student walk into my second period, and he was determined, like, you're going to tell me that this is not going to work. I know how to work a trigger to code. So he figured out how to make it work. And I'm sitting there like, but Google said that it wasn't going to work. But he figured it out on his own. He created the trigger and he made that pop-up come up. So we've been having him show us, the teachers, because we're like, well, we can do directions now on our Google Doc and it'll make you read it, because you can't just go in and start doing the work. You have to read our pop-up and hit OK. So that has been, it's been awesome to see these kids critically thinking to problem solve. And that was one of those skills that I guess I was looking at the 4 C's: collaborate, communicate, and critical thinking, creativity. But that problem solving, I just love it. That probably was my favorite.
I'll go ahead and jump in. My all-time favorite that we've done this year has to be plan and budget, only because it deals with things like comparing cell phone packages, which when you're teaching 13-year-olds, cell phones are the main thing in their lives. So, and we can use that being a science teacher. We can use that with, scientific method, make a hypothesis. And so, they all have their opinions, like, my phone's better, Samsung, Droids, Galaxies, iPhones, all of that. And so we kind of made hypothesis, which one would be the most expensive, things like that. And then so when they get to do their spreadsheets in the Google spreadsheets, and like Monica was saying, this really helps take it up a whole new level with Google spreadsheets, with the ifs, sum, if, and all the different formulas. But then they get to go choose cars and figure out car loans and percentages. And I tried to make sure that I aligned at the same time that the math department was teaching percentages and commissions. And then my favorite was the houses. So when we live around here, we live in a very rural area, farming community. And I was like, all right, let's go and find, a city and see how much houses are there and compare and get to code. And of course, they all went to Los Angeles, where housing prices are much more than what they are here. And just getting to see their reactions, like, wow, I didn't realize like the difference, like getting them to just kind of think outside the box and doing some critical thinking skills like rent to payments and monthly payments, and then getting to do the coding, which is a huge thing. And as I was telling another teacher, when they're doing coding and they get frustrated, and then they have to go back and figure out where that one little mistake is, and then they get it and it works and it automatically like pops up, like that self-confidence, I can't create with a pencil and paper. I can't make 24 students that happy, that excited with that instant feedback with just traditional pencil paper discussions. Like it has been so awesome to see just their self-esteem boost as we go through this, and they're showing each other like, look what I did. I did that. Like, look, I coded and it worked. Like that by far has been my favorite.
I love it. I have the chills listening to your stories. I mean, both of what you're saying, both of you, it really comes down to how practical these projects are. Like these are real world things, and the way that each unit pulls in the different skills and uses the different Google apps, I just love. And I used the guide to an area one with my students. And I know this was Tuesday's challenge for us as teachers to be a learner. I have learned so many things looking through the curriculum myself. I don't know if you've had that experience, but I see you nodding, so it sounds like you have. Like learning how to code in an extra custom tab in a spreadsheet. Like what? I didn't even know that existed. So that's been really fun. So I know that some of you brought some student work. Do you want to share some of your students' work with others in the webinar? They can get inspired by what your students have created.
I'll go ahead and show. I was just talking about plan and budget, so I have a couple of examples of what we were just talking about with the spreadsheets, of just inserting tables and all of that. So Let me get this. So this is one of the spreadsheets of the cell phones. And so the highlighted one is the one that they chose, but you can see where they got their website from, what their phone prices were, their service plans, their contract terms, and just getting to see their faces, because most teenagers, they don't see this aspect. You know, they just see their parents or, you know, trusted guardians or whoever paying the cell phone bill. They don't realize, they're like, wow, I didn't realize this was the total of what we were paying. Another thing that we did was a trip to Ireland, and they had to go on and they had to figure out, you know, flight, transportation, lodging, and just getting them to have kind of that, oh, wow, that's really how much it cost, and conditional formatting, inserting graphs, doing percentages. Like, it was so neat seeing them be able to put this all together and really figure it out. And like Monica was saying, critical thinking skills, really thinking hard, like doing the math, like, wow, how much is this going to cost? How much do I have left? Because they were given a budget, you know, because they all want to fly. And then they realize really quickly how much plane tickets are. And then we're going to budget rental cars to figure out how much a rental car costs. But just, I don't know how many students told me, wow, I didn't realize how much work and effort and money it actually costs just to go on a 3-day vacation, or just to buy the cell phone. Maybe I should take, you know, better care of it and more responsibility, because look how much it really is. It's not just what was advertised.
I'm happy to show a few student samples as well. I have the fake article. Let's see, let's do some screen sharing. My fake article, one of the students were paired up for this part, and this is in the research and develop a topic. So this is the fake article, and in the videos, it teaches them how to make it look real, and different things they can try, like playing with the date or having words that are misspelled, but it should feel real. So that was one of the fake articles that they created. And then afterwards, they had to create a real document. And so we have it with hyperlinks inside, and they have their work cited. So there were a lot of skills that were taught during that unit. And it's amazing all the things that the kids learned during that time.
Awesome. Do you have any other just anecdotes about your students using the curriculum, what they think of it, what they, you know, are they excited about it? Are they engaged with it? Anything to add on that?
I will jump in. I was going to mention one of the first lessons that I saw it's a 7th grade computer applications course, like a middle school level course, was the first lesson that they used was pick the next boxed office hit, which is one of the bigger lessons within the curriculum. But out of that, you know, what they did before using that lesson, I guess, was just some general brainstorming around, you know, what am I interested in? And in the end, students made an iMovie project out of it. But the pick the next box office hit walks them through building up some of the data and brainstorming behind, you know, what topic do you think is most interesting to create a movie on? So it was really cool to see students in the end be able to come up with, you know, here is why I'm creating a video on this topic. Here's the data behind it. Here's how I visualize it, and use like VLOOKUP tools and spreadsheets. But more so than just, you know, I really like skateboarding, so here's my video about that. But it was really cool to see students have that justification using spreadsheets in ways that I think, I mean, some of the functions they're running were new to me, and I learned from them. So it was a lot of fun on both sides.
And I think spreadsheets is one of those skills that we don't develop enough. And I love how the different units in applied digital skills have brought in spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. I am a complete spreadsheet geek. I love learning new formulas. I think it's amazing. But, you know, I've realized I use them a little bit as a physics teacher. But then I moved into middle school and I realized we were never using spreadsheets with our middle school students. And I think there are so many things in so many different subject areas that we can use spreadsheets for. So I love it. Anything else that anybody wanted to add about student use?
The only other thing I would kind of jump in on is if teachers are using Genius Hour. I know that's really becoming a really awesome program that teachers I've talked to are starting to really get into. Plan an Event is a really amazing unit that can go along with a Genius Hour. I've really encouraged my students, because we do Genius Hour with our language arts department, to do Plan an Event, because we try to encourage the kids to do community service projects, or raise money for maybe Riley's Children's Hospital here in our state. And so Plan an Event kind of helps walk them through the steps of marketing. Google Drawings, which is another Google app that is a really amazing app, but we don't always use just because it's new. We're like, all right, what do we do with it? How do we insert? But yeah, Plan an Event is a really awesome one. And again, it can be pretty much with any type of core subject that you're doing, health class, things like that. And then, like we were talking before, create a presentation, which is foreign language, language arts, math, anything, but it actually helps them go through and, step by step, help them create a really good presentation instead of just, here's some font, here's a couple of pictures, here's my presentation. Like, what's really going to help stand out and help me learn how to create a professional looking presentation.
Awesome, thank you. We do have a question from Kathy. She is wondering, when you've used the Applied Digital Skills with your students, how have you addressed students who might have a lower reading ability and might have a hard time reading some of the resources that are listed in the curriculum that kids go out to look at? Have any of you experienced that and addressed that in any way?
Well, I also have, I understand that being an ELA teacher, I too have lots of students with IEPs or not reading on grade level. The 2 units that I have done does call for the kids to work together. So perhaps if you try intentionally pairing your kids up with a stronger reader, someone who may be able to go through the text a little bit easier, that might help with that. Since they're going to have to collaborate anyway, just put them together yourself, and that might help out with that.
And that's what I've done with all of my units and classes. We've really been strong on community and collaboration this year, and helping peer feedback, peer editing, just peer everything, peer collaboration. And so exactly what Monica was saying, just have them buddy up. And they enjoy that. They enjoy getting to work with one another and kind of getting feedback from one another than just your teacher.
Yeah, and several, if not all of the units do encourage that collaboration. And really, when you see students working in the curriculum, it is not every student behind a device not talking. Like the clips that you've all been sharing on Twitter this week show students in groups and debating and presenting to each other, and it's pretty amazing to see it all work out. So we are almost at the end of our 30 minutes, so I want to do a big thank you to our panelists for sharing your experience using Applied Digital Skills. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for taking time to share with us tonight. And thank you to all of you viewing for your sharing this week on Twitter and for your ideas in the chat. If you have a question that did not get answered, here I'll put up our presenter Twitter accounts again. Feel free to tweet them. I'll leave those up for a couple of minutes so that you can jot those down. They are more than happy to share with you. So please keep the conversation going. So thank you again to all of you. I want to do our drawing for our free EdTech Team Summit ticket. Are you ready to do a little drum roll with me, panelists? You ready? Here we go. Drum roll, virtual drum roll, everybody. Our winner is Kathy Yoakum. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Congratulations, Kathy. If you just want to send me an email, it's Heather. I'll put it in the chat too. It's heather@edtechteam.com. Kathy, write me an email and I will make that happen. Or Molly, who's in the chat, you can see her there. Molly really is the one who's going to make it happen. So let us know. Just contact me so I can get you your free ticket. And thank you, all of you. If you missed our Day 4 challenge today, it's not too late. Today we were talking about customizing the learning, which you got some great ideas from the panelists today. And also on Twitter, people have been sharing all day how they're using this in math class and science class and ELA. So check out our document. There's a link for the Day 4 challenge. So any last words, panelists? All right, we'll say goodbye. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. Happy Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.